Noon, and welcome to the June 13th meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. Mr. Kazakian, roll call, please.
Authority members: Agajanian.
Present.
Garpetian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Sananian.
Here.
Chair Devine.
Here. Next, please.
You have 3 items before you for a closed session, which we will recess to. At 2A is conference with real property negotiators, property location, authority-owned property at 2817 Montrose Avenue, APN 5610020034, negotiating partners, Montland Properties, LLC. Agency negotiators attending the closed session are Scott Ochoa, Yasmin Beers, Mike Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Philip Lansfane, Peter Zovac, Mike Fortney. Instructions to negotiators will concern the price and terms for acquisition of property. B's conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. One case. C is public employment attorneys.
Mr. Garcia, do you expect to report out on any of these items?
Madam Chair, on items 1B and 1C, I anticipate reporting out.
Okay, thank you very much. What's next, please?
Madam Chair, the agenda for the June 13, 2017 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Friday, June 9, 2017 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. The next item on your agenda is minutes, approval of minutes for the regular Housing Authority meeting of June 6, 2017.
Are there any corrections to the minutes, or do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, hearing no objections, the minutes stand as approved as submitted. Next item, please.
Next is oral communication. No cards were submitted for this portion.
Thank you. And the next item.
Next item on your agenda is Director of Community Development regarding proposed affordable senior housing project on Housing Authority owned land at 5th Street and Sonora Avenue. 6A1 is a housing motion authorizing to execute an amended and restated letter of loan commitment between the Housing Authority and Link Housing Corporation and National Community Renaissance of California. 2 is a resolution appropriating an amount of $8,706,976.
Thank you. Mr. Ochoa?
Actually, Madam Chair, if I may, briefly, I just wanted to present for the record that the last time there was discussion on this project in closed session, Housing Authority member Agajanian recused himself on the grounds that his business is adjacent to the subject property, the property that's the subject of this particular application. With further discussion with Housing Authority member Agajanian, he has stated to us that that is a leasehold interest that's a month-to-month. So when a leasehold is a month-to-month, that does not trigger the FEPC either reporting requirements or the conflict provisions. So on the grounds of a real property interest, generally within 500 feet, it would trigger a conflict. In this case, if it's a month-to-month, it wouldn't. The other concern that we had at the time was that there was a potential conflict with the fact that it's our understanding that employees of the business from time to time do use that for parking, that the existing site for parking. However, it's not a contractual obligation from the landlord to Mr. Agajanian as a tenant. So I don't believe that it triggers a conflict, although I cannot say definitively that it doesn't. I had suggested that we, to make the record clear, we get an FPPC opinion. And on that basis, I recommended, and I continue to recommend to Mr. Agajanian that he recuse himself from participation in this matter. With that, I leave it. The only other comment I will make is that we sometimes deal with the common law conflict of interest, which is where a project may have an impact even though it's not financial, given its proximity, given its size. I cannot say one way or the other whether that is the case in this instance. It doesn't seem to bear on all fours as it does in some of the other conflict cases that I've seen. So with that, I wanted to present that information to you, give you the information that I presented to Mr. Agajanian before we start the discussion on this project.
So I might understand that you have not received confirmation from the FPC that this is legit?
I haven't, and frankly, we haven't asked. I mean, I learned only recently that Mr. Agajanian wanted to participate in this matter. So I have not had a chance to reach out to the FPPC and make
repercussions if it's not legal?
Personally, for the Housing Authority member, it could be potential fines or finding a violation by the FPPC. Again, I don't think it would end there because I don't think it's a conflict. The only other obvious remedy for a violation of the Political Reform Act is invalidation of the underlying act that caused the violation. So if the council takes an action upon which a voting member participates when he or she had a conflict, could work to void that particular action. So that's another reason why I suggested that Mr. Agajanian recuse himself.
Mr.
So,
Najarian,
thank you.
Councilmember?
So if the action is voided, let's say that this is going, we're going through the
TCAC.
TCAC process. If the action is voided, would that knock them out of TCAC?
I don't know. I'd have to ask, you'd have to ask staff. I think we'd have a pretty good case for substantial compliance, depending on what the vote is for the project. If it's unanimous, I think that would be one factor, that we've gained substantial compliance with all the processes that we could. But again, I don't think there's a conflict, and I've explained that. But I think out of abundance of caution, the safest approach would be recusal. But that's going to have to be left up to the Housing Authority member.
I mean, I just want to warn my colleague. This is a big risk, not just for yourself, but for Link, the housing project. And this property is your studio. You have a month-to-month on your studio?
Yes.
A big AAA BC
I have
TV
been there.
Live?
Yes.
I mean, I've been there. You've
over
got
10
equipment.
years.
But you've got
And
equipment
after
and
the lease
studios.
was over, it became month to month. I mean, I had the lease. It's over years and years, like 8 years ago, and it has been month to month. Yeah.
Well,
As an attorney, I'll give you some advice to lock down a lease, but that's off that. And I just want to say it's, I presume that you're fully supportive of this project and that you want to be on board with the Housing Authority, but it's really a risk that I'm not sure is necessary at this point. But we leave it to you. But
We are going too far. I mean, I don't own the property, and I don't know I'll be there next day or not. We are going too far. I mean, the man said I don't have conflict. I can be in this meeting now.
Well, I'm not sure that's
Well,
what
I'm
he
not
said.
sure. Yeah.
Did you say he doesn't have a conflict?
I believe he doesn't have a conflict, but as you all know, when the issues are gray, or at least not charcoal black, we seek out an FPPC opinion to make sure that there's no conflict. Again, I don't. That'll take some. The formal opinion takes quite some time, and we can reach out and get an informal opinion. But even that doesn't.
Would that kind of a delay harm the project, Mr. Lanzafame? I see you shaking your head.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Again, if the lease was not month to month, that we'd have a bigger issue for sure. So that certainly, the fact that it's month to month does make this issue mostly go away, in my opinion.
From a timing perspective, this is our last meeting until mid-July.
And this is due. In July.
before
The second round is in July.
Correct.
To get when is it?
End of June.
It's actually due the last week of June, June 27th, I believe.
End of
is when the
June?
application. For the July
During the
round.
application to get the 9%.
Yes.
Tax.
Yes.
So then the bottom line is Mr. Agajanian has to make the decision, I'm sorry, whether to stay in. Gee, wow. I don't know where that came from. Knowing the risks that are involved.
I don't see any risk, and this is going too far. That's my opinion.
Well, I don't think ethics analysis can ever go too far. That being said, but it's a important project that we've been working on for 4 years or 5 years now. I'm concerned that nothing jeopardizes it, especially in light of the fact that this round of TCAC is really the critical round for us. So I'm not going to act as ethics officer.
Yeah. So.
Okay, one question.
I'll just add too. We can certainly follow up, and if we get any word from FPPC that they are concerned about it, we can certainly report back to you. And if we need to sort of correct the action, we can always do that through a special meeting and whatnot. So that way, that's at least a way to move forward on it with Mr. Agajani's participation, if that's the council's desire or the Housing Authority's desire. Excuse me.
Okay.
Let's do that. That's better
fine.
now.
That's fine. Okay. All right. So.
We will just very briefly, because I think this matter has been in front of council, Housing Authority, and been negotiated at length. Suffice to say that we are applying to the July round for the Tax Allocation Committee, the TCAC. We have had success there before. Our partners have had success there before. One of the means in which we are looking to augment our performance in the competition is by the addition of $2.7 million in funding for the project. I can tell you that all other material aspects of the project have not been changed or denigrated in any way. In fact, the only meaningful changes have been increases in the benefit that ultimately accrues to the community by way of 7 developmentally disabled units or units that would be reserved pursuant to the Housing Authority direction, and the commitment of the builder to ensure that this is a LEED Platinum building. So at this point, we would invite any question about the project that you might have to Mr. Fortney, or if you are so inclined to move forward with this addition of funding forthwith so that we may be able to move forward into the TCAC competition without necessarily tipping our hand as much on the tiebreaker score that is of paramount interest to all the other competing housing authorities.
Thank you. Questions?
Madam Chair, so I do have a question, and I really have the answer to the question. I'm happy with it, but I think it's important that our residents also hear it as to whether this additional, $2 million that we're willing to contribute towards this project in any way unfairly skews or favors the finalist link in this project in terms of had we offered the additional amount at the inception, at the beginning of the process, whether the other applicants or any one of the other applicants would have been in a more favorable position to be the finalist. So if someone will address that issue.
We can objectively say, no, this would not have changed that analysis. The competition, open as it is, the Northern California competition, the first one that goes through in the fall that took place last year. When you look at what those scores were, we believe pretty confidently that we were where we were. Southern California kind of was where it was, and so to the extent that whoever our partner was probably wouldn't have made that final cut. And as you look to this round, we are trying to put our best foot forward. We have these funds available. We believe that this secures, and LinkCorp believes that this secures our place in this round. So,
Let me refine my question a little bit because I think I may not have clarified it. I'm not asking as to whether any one of the other applicants would have won the first round. What I'm asking is, had the numbers been what they are today, when is it that we discussed all the 8 or 5 applicants, the finalists? Months ago.
For this round?
No, forget the round.
This would have been last summer.
Okay, so when last summer we were looking at the individual projects that have been submitted by the applicants, had our numbers been more by $2 million, would that have changed the criteria or the results and numbers upon which we based our decision to go with Link?
We don't think so, no, because when you look at that wheel, the way it goes round in the Northern California round, for lack of a better term, we don't think so. Southern California, again, this is our best shot. The Southern California applications and the county's applications will get greater consideration. We think we'll be better suited.
I think the city manager is not.
If I may, you're asking if we had this funding when we originally went through this, would our results have changed? The formula that we look at was identical for the first 2, and they were even better than all the rest. So it would not have changed our decision. It would not have changed staff's recommendation, nor would I imagine it would have changed the housing authorities.
In other words, Link would have still been.
It would. The formula would have been the same.
The formula would have been the same. Okay, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
No, but
Mr. Agajanian.
if a developer knew from beginning would get the land and $2.7 million, how you are sure that the result would be the same thing? That I can't understand.
the projects that they put forward are the projects they put forward. The construction cost hasn't changed. It's really just a matter of additional public assistance on this. So I can't imagine that there would be no reason for anybody to have changed their proposal.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Najarian.
So, I don't want to beat the horse, but if all the applicants knew, or if the other applicants knew at the time of preparing the proposal that there's an extra $3 million in the kitty, would they not have created a higher quality building, a higher quality design, a higher quality amenities? Would that $3 million? I think I would have. I'm not even a developer. But I would have said, if there's $3 million more, well, let's make this a little nicer and a little bit more open space, and let's do courtyards and all that.
So all things being equal, your project cost would go up, and you would be right back in the same place you were without the money, because you would need more tax credits for that additional cost, unless you're putting it all.
So this money is only going into the amount of tax credit request from the state at this point.
So there's less tax credits that are being asked for.
So the construction budgets are remaining the same.
Yes.
It's just that this is backfilling some of the TCAC award money, which serves as a greater tiebreaker.
That's what makes you more attractive.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're just adding $3 million. We're requesting $3 million less from the TCAC to increase our chances. That's all.
That is correct.
Otherwise, everything else stays the same.
But, okay,
Mr.
we get,
Armstrong?
yes, sorry,
That's okay.
2.7 million, they get less. But they would have to pay the interest on the money, right? If they would have 2.7 million more.
I'm not sure that there is any interest. They're either going to get $2.7 million from us that we want to augment, or they're going to get that equal amount in tax credits, if it's available. By having the public entity put it in, that drops the amount of tax credits, that improves your position to get the credits, because it spreads those credits further to other entities.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion?
I'll move the item.
I'll second it, but before I second it, I'll just say again that I'm very excited about this project. We're really counting on Link pushing this through and being successful in the second stage, is that what they call it? And our residents need, especially our elderly, our seniors need more affordable housing. We need it really bad. And this is a really nice project, actually, so can't wait for the groundbreaking.
So we have a roll call, please.
Authority members Agajanian,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Chair Devine.
Yes. Next item.
Any authority member or staff comments?
I have a comment, and I'm very excited about this as well, not only this affordable housing project that we just spoke about, but the Lomita Homes. We're getting ready for the groundbreaking, and that's coming on August the 26th at 11 a.m. on that Saturday. Another Habitat for Humanity project, that will be our 9th. And I think we are one of the largest cities as far as builds for habitat in the San Gabriel Valley. So I'm really proud of that, and I think all of us are. And the more affordable housing we get, the better off we are, and our residents have more an opportunity to secure a home. That's my comment. Anyone else? Okay, then we are going to recess to close session. So we are at recess. Thank you.
Okay, a call to order, the June 13, 20.